This is a method that can turn your ACMI file into a Blender animation. First of all, this method will work with both DCS and Falcon BMS. However, it will not work with Microsoft Flight Simulator or real-world flight data. Because both DCS and Falcon BMS have a flat world with location coordinates in X, Y, and Z, same as Blender. But Microsoft Flight Simulator operates in a spherical world and uses longitude and latitude, just like our real planet. Therefore, we can't import location data from Microsoft Flight Simulator or GPS into Blender because Blender doesn't recognize longitude and latitude. Now, let's begin. You should have your Tacview ready. Open the file that you want to export to Blender. Your whole flight record might be very long, and you might not want to export the whole thing to Blender. So you can go to debriefing and use trim before and trim after to get the part you want. Next, I recommend changing the name of those aircraft so you can more easily recognize them inside Blender. Technically speaking, you can export any object inside Tacview, such as planes, missiles, bombs, helicopters, ships, and ground vehicles. Now select the object you want to export. I suggest exporting your objects one at a time. Make sure you are not selecting a second object. Now go to File and select Export Telemetry. Be advised, only Tacview Advanced and Tacview Enterprise have this function. So yes, you need to pay extra money to buy the Tacview Advanced version. First, you want to export only the selected object. If you choose all objects, it will export everything, including every bullet in the air. This will cause the file to become very large and might encounter lots of issues later on. So only export the selected object. Next, the sample rate. If you are animating at 24 frames per second, then you should put 24 as the sample rate. If you are animating at 60 FPS, then you should put 60. At the bottom, you will see that you have lots of data you can export. However, they don't affect the animation, so you don't have to worry about them. The only things we need are name and type. Make sure you have these two checked. After you export, you should have a CSV file that can be opened by Excel. It will contain the location, roll, pitch, yaw, the name, and type of the object. Now, let's go to Blender. Install the add-on. If you have trouble installing the add-on on your Blender, download Anaconda. This should be free. I will leave a link in the description. After you install the add-on, make sure you check that box to activate the add-on. At the Scene tab, you should see the flight animation stuff. Now, let's prepare our first plane. Go to Top View, change the mode to YZX Euler. This is very important. The object needs to be YZX Euler. Make sure the plane's nose is pointing upward, towards the north inside the Blender. Go to Object, Apply, All Transforms. This will zero all the location, rotation, and the scale of the plane. Since the jet will fly very fast, make sure you increase the view end to a larger number, so you can still see the jet when it flies far away. Go back to the scene. By default, the add-on will only import the data of fixed-wing aircraft. You can just change it to all if you are importing objects that are not fixed-wing. Now open your CSV file. You can see the name of the object in the data. Select the plane that you want to import this data to. Keep the scale factor as 1 because we want it to be real-world scale. Click Add Keyframes. The process will take some time, depending on how much data you are importing. After you have all your keyframes, you might discover that your plane has distorted into a very bad shape. This is because Blender isn't very good at handling very large scenes. What you can do is use the offset function to move your plane to a more central location. Make sure you put the plus or minus sign correctly. You can delete all the keyframes and start over. This time the plane is much closer to the world center, and it is in a much better shape. If you want to import your second plane, you can click Delete All Data and open your next CSV file. The rest of the steps are the same.